Hi, and welcome to the next lesson in my series of the guitars of Jimmie Rodgers. This includes the parts that Jimmie Rodgers played on his recordings, and then any second guitar players like Muddy Waters or whoever else was playing with him. And this lesson is going to cover bass rhythms, and I'm going to start out with a signature Jimmie Rodgers type thing that you hear on a lot of his slower tunes. So let me play an example in the key of E, and then I'll break it down for you. That's nothing exact. It's kind of loosely patterned on a tune called In the Evening, and usually there's a lot of other instruments playing: piano, other guitar, drums, bass, and harmonica. Sometimes it's hard to hear exactly what he's playing on these things, but this is generally the idea. So I'm going to show you just some ideas that I have been able to hear. Starting out, it's a three-chord progression: 1, 4, 5. With typical Jimmie Rodgers tune would be in the key of E, or an F with a capo on the first fret. And he starts out over the 1 chord, the E, just hammering on the 4th string, 2nd fret of the 4th string. That's a very common lick that you'll hear in a lot of these rhythms. He goes an open 4th string, 2nd fret of the 5th string, then open 5th string, then he walks up on the 1st to 2nd fret of the 5th string. And he just stays, to wrap off the 1 part, he just stays on the 4th string. That's just one. That's not from any specific song. That's just an example. And I'll show you a few variations you can throw in there in just a minute. Then he goes to the A, uses a transition lick where he goes to the 3rd fret of the 6th string, bends it down slightly, and then hits the open A, which is the 4 chord. So he does this. And this lick is an open 5th string, walking down or walking up on the 3rd to 4th fret of the 5th string to the 2nd fret of the 4th string, then with your pinky to the 5th fret of the 4th string. So the whole first part of that. Then he does it again. Open 6th string to go back to the 1, which is an E. Now when he does this part, a lot of times you listen, you hear him making an A chord. He's really got the A chord fingered up there or down there with his first finger. And then he gets the 5th and the 4th strings, almost like a power chord. Hear that? I'll show you some variations with that lick there. Sometimes when he does this, when he goes to the 5th fret on the 4th string, whoops, he'll do something like that, vary, and he'll hold it or play it a little differently, but it's basically the same fingering. Then when he goes back to the 1, time he goes, so going from the 2nd fret, 1st fret on the 5th string, open, then he goes to the 3rd fret of the 6th string, bends it down slightly, and then comes back to the root, which is the E 2nd fret, 4th string. So that whole lick, let's take it from the last part of the A lick. And then, sounds like an open 4th string. It comes down on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, which is a B, the 5. It's hard to hear what he does there, because I know Jimmy Rogers, or whoever's Jimmy Rogers, probably playing the 1. He's playing this, and he's hammering on that bass as he's playing that, playing the monotonic bass. So it sounds sometimes like he's just doing something like that on that 2nd fret of the 5th string, or you could slide into it. Or you could just hold it. Then this is just playing around again on the same 5th string, 2nd fret, 1st fret open. This time I'm going back and forth between 2nd fret, 1st fret, 2nd fret, 2nd fret. And then to the A. Just something like that, or you could walk back into the 1 for the next verse. That I'm just going from the 2nd fret of the 5th string, open 4th string, 1st fret, 2nd fret on the 4th string, back to our E note there, and there you go. Now, as far as variations go on the parts played over the 1 chord, sometimes he does something like this with the open 6th string, which is an E. And I started it out a little differently. I started out on the 2nd fret of the 5th string and bounced back to the open 4th string. Did that twice. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Again, doing that same walk. And then I come back. Usually, when you're playing over the 1, you come back to the 2nd fret of the 4th string. So again. Something along those lines. So there's some other variations too. If you listen carefully, if you can hear this, it took me a long time listening to even hear the parts that I showed you. You can invent stuff and be creative. Another example, while I'm thinking of it, is on a couple tunes when there's a solo, whether it's a harmonica or the guitar, sometimes he'll walk the bass over the 1, and he'll do something like this. So the walking part, I did a couple different things in there. It's open 6th string, 4th fret of the 6th string, 2nd fret of the 5th string, 4th fret of the 5th string, then to the E, 2nd fret of the 4th string, back, again. Now we could just continue with that. Go to the A, or sometimes he'll do this. Before he goes into the 4 chord, the A, or I've heard this too, where he does sort of a more elaborate walking bass. the 2nd fret of the 4th string to the 5th fret of the 5th string, 4th fret, 2nd fret. So, and then to the 4, which is the A. So there's a little walking bass thing that he does. One more little trick that I forgot to show you is when he transitions from the 1 chord to the 4 chord, or sometimes in the middle of the 4 chord, he does these little bass riffs. The one I showed you where he bends down on the 3rd fret of the 6th string and then hits the open A. You can use that a lot of different ways. There's another one when he's playing the 4 chord. You could use that one walking on the open 4th string, 1st fret, 2nd fret, open 5th, A string. So like this. Whoops. Let me try that again. You could do that. A lot of times you hear that when he's playing the 4 chord. I think this is the other guitar. I think the 1st guitar is doing that, or the lead guitar. But it's an idea, and you can work that into the bass runs too. Now in the next part of this lesson we'll go into some of the various other bass parts that you hear in Jimmie Rodgers playing. And if you have any questions or suggestions or comments, criticisms, constructive criticisms, then feel free to contact me. Hope you enjoyed this lesson. I'll be back with another one.